Me?
Let's try that one more time. Hello, everybody. Much better, much better. Well, good evening, and welcome to a celebration of the Governor Morehead School in its 176th year. My name is Tom Haynes, and I'm going to be your MC for the evening. And I want to welcome all of you that are here in person in this lovely auditorium, and also all of you that are tuning in remotely on our Zoom call. For those of you who are on the Zoom call, please take advantage of the chat feature to write your comments, questions, and so on. We'd love to see your interaction in there as we go. Now, you should have received a program, and if you look on your program, you'll see at the very bottom there's a mention of a word, surprise. I just want to make sure you guys know there's a big surprise coming at the end of this evening, so stick around for the whole thing so you don't miss it. We are here tonight to look back on a year that challenged all schools, and especially GMS, and to pay tribute to those who made the school year a success. We will see how the students, faculty, and staff of the Governor Morehead School adapted quickly in the face of COVID-19, and we'll hear about the challenges and lessons learned from this unique year. We are going to hear from the principal of GMS, as well as other staff who work with the students every day. We will also hear from the president of the Governor Morehead Foundation on how the students and the school are supported by the efforts and the funds raised by the foundation. We hope that some of those funds will be raised this evening through your generosity. And we will see the students themselves as they live at the Governor Morehead School and prepare to take on the future with the education and the skills that they learn here. Now, if you've never visited the beautiful campus of GMS before, we have for you now a video tour to highlight some of its areas and activities. Several times this evening you will hear the term orientation and mobility and how it's being taught at the school. For those of you who are not familiar with the term orientation and mobility services, they are provided to blind or visually impaired students by certified specialists to enable those students to attain systematic orientation to and safe movement within their environments in home, school, and community. O&M services include teaching students spatial and environmental concepts and use of information received by the census to establish, maintain, or regain orientation and line of travel, use of the long cane or alternative adaptive mobility device, and learning safe and effective travel with the use of a white cane or guide. You will also hear the term deaf, dumb, and blind, referring to the early school. This, unfortunately, was the original term used to describe those deaf students who also could not speak. The modern term is mute. And
Imagine. Imagine that the world is a beautiful place, with all the sights and sounds one could mentally conjure up. Spring flowers, plenty of sunshine, oceans in their enormity, the snow-capped and towering majestic mountains, fall-tipped leaves surrounded by serene lakes, and winter's stormy seas. You are in a place where you cannot actually see any of these things. Imagine appreciating everything and everyone around you, but for that which surrounds, you can only sense their being there, known only by voice, smell, or touch. Perhaps touch their hands or their face, or take their outstretched arms so as to assist in navigating unfamiliar places. Imagine even trying to do this in the sighted world, with all the chaos and noises of the city, traffic, weather. Scary thought, don't you think?
Our goal is basically to teach functional skills. Maybe working in, not side by side, but just complementing OT, PT in some of their goals that they're doing, whether it's brushing teeth, maybe some bathing, working with the house parents and everything. So once they finish here or age out here, they will be able to, be self-sufficient as far as feeding themselves, taking care of themselves.
Two pieces of equipment we have in here is the Perkins Braille Writer. It's when students just put their Braille paper in here and write their Braille, but it does not speak to them. It's not a voice output. But this one is an electric Braille Writer. It's called the Mountbatten Braille Writer, and it does have a voice output. It tells you what letters you're writing, what contractions you're writing, and what words you're writing. And it helps the beginning Braille writer and reader better than the regular Braille writer does.
Governor Morehead School was originally established in 1843 by John Motley Morehead for the specific purpose of recruiting deaf-mute kids. William D. Cook was the school's first principal in 1845, and vocational classes began in 1851. Deaf girls were taught sewing, and blind boys were taught broom making. Deaf boys were taught shoemaking and printing.
Hi, my name is Wanisha Richardson. I came to the Governor Morehead School in 2007 and graduated in 2012. I started working in Durham at a company called LC Industries, and we make mattresses and flatware and file folders for the Army.
In 1867, this was to be the very first school for deaf, dumb, and blind African Americans. 301 Ash Avenue in Raleigh, North Carolina, opened in 1917 for white children only. And a separate school for black, deaf, and blind students was located in Garner, North Carolina. In 1959, North Carolina consolidated both the Garner and Ash locations. 1963, it became the sole school for deaf and blind kids and changed its name to Governor Morehead School. And in 1968, began officially integrating, becoming an accredited institution for education in 1972. They held their first summer camp in 1974, and in 1979, they had their first official seal featuring the motto, "By faith, not by sight."
Can you tell me some of the things you do? She likes her monkey blanket. Hi, welcome to D2 Cottage. We have a total of 4 students here that live residential life, but we also have 2 day students that intervention with us during the day. They like to have fun, venture, so and so on. We go off campus and do good things. We teach them intervention skills like with the fingers, and we also do goal skills. And goal skills can be anything with making their beds, vacuuming the floor, or etc., putting on a hair bow, or maybe even tying their shoe. So, welcome to GMS.
It's a residential school, so we have to have a nurse on campus at all times when the students are here for convalescence, illnesses, and mediation between the parents and the kids, or with the outside doctors.
I am the Student Life Director here at the Governor Morehead School for the Blind, and the Student Life Department consists of anything that happens after 3:45, after the regular school day. So we have the after-school program, we have the Learning Center. The students participate in recreation activities on and off campus, and they have an opportunity to socialize and recreation, gym activities all during the afternoon. We also have transportation is included in the Student Life program, and our students that travel all across the state here weekly on Sunday and Friday. We coordinate all the transportation, including charter bus and activity buses and state vehicles from the coast to the mountains each week.
Today, it is clear that students of Governor Morehead School, based here in Raleigh, North Carolina, are leading the way in achieving balanced, effective, independent, and productive lives, with dramatic and long-established efforts being implemented by dedicated professionals, even former students, aptly led by current Superintendent Barbria Bacon. So, Imagine this. When one is faced with daily tough choices, ask yourself a question. Can you personally imagine what life is truly about when faced with these kinds of challenges? The answer is simply, it can be anything you want it to be, if only you imagine.
Fantastic video. All right, next on our agenda. You heard her name in the video? Barbria Bacon has been with the Governor Morehead School since 2007. Her experience includes Director of Education Services at the South Carolina School for the Deaf and Blind, where she operated the blind, deaf, and multi-handicapped schools, career technology education, and post-secondary programs. She also served as a principal, assistant principal, and team leader at the Maryland School for the Blind. In this next video, Barbria is going to tell us about the history of the Governor Morehead School and its importance to the lives of its students.
Hello, my name is Barbria Bacon, and I have the privilege of serving as the director for the Governor Morehead School, the state school for the blind in North Carolina. I would like to share a little bit of history as it relates to our school. The Governor Morehead School was founded in 1845 as the North Carolina Institute for the Education of the Deaf, Dumb, and Blind, and was the 8th school of its kind in the country. North Carolina was the first state in the country to establish a second school for African American students who were deaf and or blind in 1869. A separate school for the white deaf was opened in 1894 in Morganton, North Carolina, and the Governor Morehead School continued serving white students with visual impairments. Enrollment grew to 535 students by 1912, making it the largest blind school in the country. As such, it had outgrown its downtown Hillsborough Street location, and the 75-acre Ash Avenue land where we now sit was purchased. The separate school for the African American students also grew in enrollment, and in 1929, 234 acres were purchased on the outskirts of Raleigh on Garner Road, and the school became known as the Garner Road School for the Blind. Students at both schools for the blind focused on academics as well as vocational training and independent living skills. Participating in and living on campus year-round, many students remained their entire public school education, only visiting their families once or twice a year. The Garner Road students who were blind were transferred to the Ash Avenue campus after a study indicated it was the more appealing location for a one-campus site. Programs at GMS continue to be developed, offering unique learning opportunities for students who are blind or visually impaired. Those opportunities include participation in all areas of school life, such as student government, physical education, and athletics. Braille, assistive technology, orientation and mobility, music, and the visual arts are also provided. Training for their home, communities, and schools is provided for our students. Support is also garnered for the families. As local communities increase their ability to provide education for students who were visually impaired, students returned and remained in their local public schools. They would attend programs on a short-term basis and receive outreach services from the Governor Morehead School. A nationally renowned preschool program was established to serve students birth to 5 years of age. However, over the years, as programs and services change for the school, the funding has become more challenging. Resources are determined based on the number of students enrolled and not the complexity or cost of the programming and services needed by the students and professionals across the state. The state appropriation remains flat funded and can decrease as alternative funding is identified. 90% of the budget is the personnel costs to cover 3 shifts of staff 6 days per week, leaving a mere 10% for programs, campus maintenance, and renovations. As a low-incidence population, it does not garner much support in the competition for funding. Sometimes local schools can only provide academic instruction, leaving students who cannot access social, physical, and extracurricular activities out. The expanded core curriculum allows independence with daily living activities and access to society and education. That includes Braille, orientation and mobility, as well as organizational skills, social skills, and personal care. Trained professionals offer instruction in all areas as well as small instructional settings allowing for everyone's participation. Residential settings allow for the training during naturally occurring routines, transportation, meals, grooming, and home care. In closing, the Governor Morehead School marked its 175th anniversary in 2020 and celebrated a statewide program and resource center for students who are visually impaired and the professionals that serve them. I am honored and humbled to be a part of a community and field where our heroes walk amongst us. Thank you for your time and attention.
Matthew Mescal is the principal of the Governor Morehead School. He was previously with the Maryland School for the Blind, where he was a teacher and athletic director and the coordinator of outreach programs and special projects. Matt brings the knowledge of residential schools for the blind, as well as outreach to public schools in the community through IEPs, professional development, camps, and summer programs. Hear what Mr. Mescal has to tell us about the Governor Morehead School and how it met the challenges of the 2021 school year in this next video.
Hello, my name is Matthew Mescal, and I am the principal at the Governor Morehead School for the Blind. In March of 2020, GMS, just like all the schools in North Carolina, had to shut down their campuses due to COVID-19. It happened so fast when we said goodbye to our students that Friday and they returned to their local communities across the state, that Thursday and Friday staff worked frantically to prepare as many materials as possible to cover the next week of instruction. Students were offered a movie one day as to not alert them of our sense of urgency in the planning and preparing of what we thought would be a week of learning from home. For the next few weeks, GMS staff worked frantically to convert their instruction to a new learning style, and staff banded together to help create a new plan and schedule for how classes would be offered and students would engage. The next months were full of policy and rule changes, video chats, emails, and late-night phone calls. Working from home was new to us all, and collectively we had to redefine what educating our students in this environment under these conditions would look like and how we could best serve our students. Technology, keyboards, braille displays, iPads, and calculators were mailed across the state. Staff drove hours to deliver materials and meals for GMS. Our dining hall staff prepared a week's worth of food with instructions in braille, large print, or regular print so students can prepare their breakfasts and lunches as independently as possible. The food would go on weekly runs by our dining hall staff, residential, and K-12 team. Equipment would be collected for repairs, new equipment and instructional materials delivered, and distant warm welcomes and words of encouragement shared. This courageous and heroic effort helped keep our students fed and healthy throughout the year and ensured students had the equipment and materials needed. This is how we overcame the challenges of our non-visual learners, how we continued to connect with students across the state, and how we maintain the values and qualities that make GMS unique, strong, and a statewide resource. Students contributed to help us improve how we serve them. They led discussions with large tech companies on how to improve the accessibility of their products and contributed to the ideas and solutions of our greatest challenges. Our mental health team, staff, and educators created Chargers Connect, a reserved time students could log in and talk with their friends, discuss their concerns about the virus or events happening throughout our country. Our trained mental health professionals and caring staff were there to listen, relate, and respond as needed. Through the strength of our GMS community, the foundation was able to raise and donate funds to support families who could use the extra support to pay bills, access the internet, or order online needed groceries. Computers were donated to our students, and the foundation supported virtual student activities that found a way to continue in the virtual world we lived in. This year has taught us a lot about our world, our country, and ourselves. We learned technology is our friend, and while we could all use a break from the video calls and emails, it is here to stay. And our students need it more now than ever. We learned as much as we need technology, fundamentals matter. Braille skills, travel techniques, social skills, independent living skills, and the ability to participate in healthy activities are fundamental to our students. These are the areas GMS specializes in, with high quality and dedicated staff. We learned that GMS makes a big difference in the lives of our students and the families we serve. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Matt Meskel. Hopefully I got the pronunciation right that time. Governor Morehead is a residential school consisting of programs and accommodations for students ages 5 through 21, in cottages and in the independent living apartment program. Whether students reside in cottages or in apartments, qualified staff works with all students. Laura Wooten is the GMS Student Life Director and has been serving students here since 1993 and as Student Life Director since 2011. Roll a tape, please.
As an extension of the K-12 academic program, the residential component picks up where the teachers leave off each day to include cottage life, homework center, transportation, and recreation. When the traditional school day ends, students have the opportunity to participate in a safe, supervised, and structured residential program supporting tutoring, homework assistance, socialization, recreation, off-campus trips, and a critical focus on the expanded core curriculum. The ECC supports every skill taught in the residential program while offering a bridge to continued learning throughout the afternoon, evening, and early morning. Students learn a range of ECC skills, from independent living to recreation, and that's on and off campus activities, which promotes community involvement and enhances orientation and mobility skills for each student. And the fun part for students, socialization, which includes daily interaction with like peers. The cottages create a very natural setting that enriches independent living for our student population. Students also have a golden opportunity to utilize an array of assistive technology in their living quarters, from personal devices to fully equipped technology in each cottage and in the Crockett Pillar Learning Center. It is evident that the residential program is a valuable extension to continuous learning. The residential program put the ECC skills to test during the pandemic. We were forced to embrace remote learning and to think outside of the box as relates to serving students. Traditionally, a residential program is not viewed as a class of employees to work remotely, but the talents and strengths of staff spotlighted how traditional means does not always meet the educational needs of students. The residential team taught an ECC class daily. The virtual duties included lesson planning, independent research, team meetings, and written professional development assignments. The virtual learning environment gave students hands-on opportunities to practice ECC skills in their own homes. How neat is that? Thanks to the group like Governor Morehead School Foundation that strengthens the efforts of our residential program, staff were uniquely postured to serve students virtually. The Governor Morehead School Foundation continues to lay the foundation that supports our day-to-day operations, like funding recreation outings, our hygiene closet restock, upgraded independent living kitchen, and always willing to entertain any request that enhances student learning within the residential program. The Governor Morehead School is fortunate to have a foundation that is so vested in the success of students, families, and staff.
All right, thank you. In our Why We Care video, Governor Morehead students, parents, and school staff share how the school has positively changed their lives. Let's hear what they have to say.
GMS has made my life easier in that we have found the perfect fit for our son.
She's back to loving school, wanting to come to school. She's back to thriving and learning and not feeling kind of singled out.
They have really opened doors for him, and I feel now very confident that he will succeed.
You know, her sparkle is back. She's loving school again, and that makes me happy.
Governor Morehead School serves as a jewel in the crown of education in North Carolina. During our illustrious 170 years, we have grown and changed with the community and continue to provide state-of-the-art services for our students. Our goal is to support their learning, to give them whatever they need to make sure that they are successful.
I think for the first time we're really in a good position to increase the number of employment opportunities that are available for our students, but more importantly to give them the skills that they need to go into the workforce.
I feel like with Wesley being here that now he does have a bright future because this school, they've given him tools to succeed.
The people that serve them allow no barriers to stand in the way.
The kids inspire me every day because a lot of the kids, they say I can't, but it really makes me happy when they say I can after they perform a skill.
Whenever I'm like stressed or confused about anything, the teacher's always there to help, and they just tell you like never give up, keep trying to do everything.
I felt like there was something missing at her public school. Class sizes were so large. She was just getting lost in the crowd, and I don't really feel like she was getting really what she deserved at that school.
I was a little scared to meet the new people that I didn't know, but I was very excited to meet the people that had the same conditions I did.
Parents, number one, love the fact that their kids come here and are with other students who are like their own children, and they go from being a child or a student, being a really small fish in a really big pond where they kind of stand out and they're different, to a place where everybody else is just like them. And it does wonders for their self-esteem, for their socialization skills, and I think that's something that parents really value.
We also offer services that children don't necessarily get in their public schools. So our children are allowed to develop the skills that are necessary, the leadership opportunities. They are student council presidents and vice presidents. They belong to the Honor Society.
Those areas of instruction are provided in this environment at a more intensive level than they can often get in their home communities.
My favorite part of the school is gym and sports.
The people, they're always nice and they always help you out.
Science. Why is that?
Science is fun.
What would you say that you love the most about the school?
To be honest, everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
thing I love most is just the sense of community.
That's what makes this place so special, is the team that we have assembled over the years.
Staff here is very committed to children. It's very much a family atmosphere.
To us, it's like one big happy family.
It just seems more like a big family, and that's not.
Francisco Chavez graduated as valedictorian of the class of 2005 of the Governor Morehead School. He went on to graduate from UNC Charlotte and is a director with the Raleigh Consulting Group, as well as the current president of the Governor Morehead Foundation. Please welcome to the stage Francisco Chavez.
When I was 15 years old, I developed a very painful brain tumor that left me legally blind. After that, I couldn't see well, and I couldn't keep up with my courses at my high school in Belmont, North Carolina. Every day, I wondered how I would be able to finish high school, or whether I could make it into college someday. One day, a teacher told me that there was a school that specialized in teaching students who were blind and visually impaired. I did everything I could to enroll there. I remember my parents driving me to Charlotte in a central location where I would meet all the other students from the western part of the state. Together, we would ride a shuttle bus that would bring us here, where we would be united with the students from the eastern part of the state. The dorm, the dining hall, the learning center was our home for the week. The school and staff taught me valuable skills that I learned and used later on to graduate high school and go on to college. It offered me an array of resources that if I had stayed back home, I would have never heard about. But the best thing that the school offered me was being around youth and adults that, just like me, had a visual impairment of sorts. It was inspiring to be around them. I figured that if they somehow figured out life and moved forward, so could I. Many years later, in 2018, I got a phone call from an instructor from the school who had stayed in touch with me all these years, Mary Flanagan. She asked if I wanted to be part of the board of the Governor Morehead Foundation. My answer? No way, lady. No way, stop calling me. I want to block you. Who wants to revisit their high school years? The pimples, the uncertainty, the rigid structure, no way. She told me to think about it and threatened to call back. As I thought about it, I reflected on my last year of high school, where I frantically applied to scholarships and foundations of all kinds, dozens of them, asking for financial help. At the time, I was completely undocumented. That meant that I couldn't access any financial aid that came from the state or federal government to pay for college. Every dollar of my college education was out of pocket. Along with a big package, I sent a letter that ended something like this: if you award me this scholarship, I promise to someday give back to the community. Now that I had graduated college and had somewhat found my footing in life, the time to give back was now. So I said yes to the board. The Governor Morehead Foundation has been around since 1989. Our mission is to support the staff, students, and community at the Governor Morehead School. We do this by providing funding so that students can go to academic and educational trips, the Model UN competition, senior trips, concerts, conferences, and tournaments. We also offer resources for tools and technology in the classroom, an accessible science kit that students who can't see can use, updated technology. We even provide some miscellaneous funding and academic awards, such as a nice dinner out or a gold medallion that is offered to every valedictorian each year, similar to the one that hangs in my family's home in Mexico. As a high schooler, I didn't know what any of this was. All I know is that when my parents couldn't afford to send me to a cheerleading tournament in New York City, someone footed the bill for me. And I got to go. What I do remember about that trip was feeling this amazing feeling of camaraderie and wanting to perform well. The other thing I remember was this obnoxious cheerleading squad, the loudest, most obnoxious, most competitive cheerleading squad in the whole Eastern Seaboard. The New York Stars. The other thing I remember was how good it felt to beat them for the championship in their home court. I also don't know who arranged a senior trip that a fellow classmate and I got to go for a week, space camp in Huntsville, Alabama. What I do remember was the drill sergeants waking us up early every morning, shouting at us, trying to instill a sense of responsibility, attention to detail, and leadership. What I gained that week was that I didn't want to be that kind of leader, the type that shouts and slams things for others to lead. 2020 was a harrowing year for all of us. Now imagine needing to stand close to your instructor so that you can learn valuable cane skills that you'll need to safely cross the street, or needing to touch surfaces and read your books by touch and braille at a time when touching surfaces is very dangerous. When the foundation heard that the students had to return home and now their family is having an extra mouth to feed at home, were on the verge of experiencing hunger, we acted quickly to purchase gift cards for grocery stores so that no one at home would experience hunger. We also purchased hotspots so that students living in remote parts of North Carolina could have access to the internet and stay in touch with their classmates and classrooms. We were ready to do this and more. But we need your support. We want to contribute more. Although we're a small foundation, we have big dreams. We want to continue funding educational and academic field trips, trips to museums, out-of-state field trips where they can compete and do their best, and many other miscellaneous items. The board even has their eye on a juggernaut of a project, an old, unused building on campus that someday we want to see as a career center, one where students can learn top-of-the-line skills like coding and 3D printing. But We can't do that alone. I'd like to introduce you to a good friend of mine, a coach, a motivational speaker, Mr. John Shafi Jr., and he is going to talk to us about how you can give and contribute to these big dreams of ours.
Thank you all for being here tonight. Once again, my name is John Shafi'i, and here we are at the Governor Morehead School. And tonight we gather together to celebrate, to raise awareness and money for these students so they can have a life and experiences that us who do not have sensory limitations get as a part of growing up. Students like Francisco, who had an impact on his future that changed the trajectory of his very life because people opened up their heart, opened up their generosity, and gave to something that sometimes is marginalized in our communities. You know, I was speaking with Mary earlier, first time I ever met her, and I told her, I've lived in Raleigh since 1995. I've driven past this school many, many times, but I never knew it was here. I never knew what went on here. And you might know because you are here, but one thing you can do also is help raise awareness. Tell other people that have not yet met their Francisco, that have not yet met another person, that you can change a life by giving some money. So tonight, there's a few different ways that we can donate to really make a change, to make a difference, and to make an impact on these students that are still struggling with the effects of this COVID-19 pandemic. Our treasurer of the foundation, Mike Perkins, will be out in the lobby after we finish. He has a card reader and accepts all types of plastic, whatever type that you like to use. The easiest way to donate, especially for our viewers online, is to go to the governormoreheadfoundation.org and click on donate at the top. You can set up a one-time or even a reoccurring gift that way. If you're old school and still write paper checks, I got a couple of those in here. Feel free to drop those off with Mike as well. We would love to get your information when you do that, because if you noticed on the table up front, and even for those online that did not see the table, we have 3 amazing gifts that are going to be getting raffled off here tonight. The first one of those is we have a pair that is 2 tickets to the Raleigh Ringers Music Concert. That is a holiday music spectacular event. These people travel up and down the East Coast in the Midwest and put on an amazing show, and you even get an album if you still have a CD player to listen to that also. Another gift that will be raffled off tonight is a luxurious chocolate gift box from our local chocolatiers here in Raleigh, Videri Chocolates. So for those that have the sweet tooth, make sure that you get a ticket for that. And then an autographed Carolina Hurricanes player has a hockey stick out there that was donated by the Carolina Hurricanes professional hockey team. Everybody who donates, whether online or here tonight, will receive entry into that, and a winner will be announced, and we will make sure that you get your gifts. Now I want to highlight a couple things for you guys to understand that this money is going towards student activities. Things such as the Model UN Conference in Chapel Hill. They take the students there and they get an experience like no other. Senior trips down in Atlanta, where they visited the aquarium, Coca-Cola factory, and even history museums. Goal ball tournaments. They celebrate National Braille Day. They make life normal for the kids that live here and leave their families on a week-to-week basis. Space Camp was a place that Francisco visited. Francisco, let's talk a little bit briefly about some of the plans that you mentioned that the Governor Morehead Foundation board has here. So taking these students up to the Model UN conferences, tell us a little bit more about how that works and why it's so important.
This year it was virtual, but in years past we need funding to provide for their lodging, so hotel room near the Chapel Hill campus. Their food, as you can imagine, they have to eat to be prepared to compete.
Kids are hungry, yes.
Yeah, the growing teenagers. And what's inspiring about this Model UN club at school is that it keeps growing. We want to expand it to younger students, because before it used to be the older students attending, but it's getting so good that the younger students are interested and their coach wants to include them, so that as the older ones graduate, the younger ones can continue learning and growing, and they're fearless. And I hear that they did amazingly well this year, virtually.
Awesome. I know you also mentioned that they have science and technology tools that we provide for the students. And these are single-use kits, which means after one student tries it and uses it, we need to buy more. So setting up reoccurring money helps these kids have the tools necessary, that one generation, one class doesn't miss out on something. Right, Francisco, tell us a little bit about how the senior trip experience was.
Mine or the students?
You were a student, so whatever you feel like sharing with us.
As I mentioned, anytime we got to leave campus and the classroom was fun, it was amazing. I mentioned Space Camp. I realized the irony now with SpaceX traveling to new heights in our universe, that I can see that coming back as soon as it's safe for our students to travel. We allocated the funding for 2020. Sadly, we had to get a reimbursement because we canceled that trip, but I can see now how it wasn't my favorite trip, but I can see now that Space Camp is going to be a life changer, an inspirational trip for students to continue learning and reach new heights.
You heard it. Anytime they leave campus, it's exciting. Anything that you can provide for these kids, for their families, will be an experience that they will remember for a lifetime. The $20 that you saved by not going to Starbucks for 3 days this next week, you won't miss. But these kids, they'll always remember that. So to talk about a little bit about how far your money can go, $50, what can $50 get these kids, Francisco?
A third of a science kit. So we'll need either 3 donors or three different donations to get close to one science kit for one student. That's the complex thing that people don't often think of, science kits or classroom tools for students who can't see well or who can't see at all. So they're unique and they're expensive.
And then for $250, what can these kids get for $250? What could they expect to receive?
They could send one student, just one, but don't forget they travel in groups. They're a team. So they could send one student to within the state Model UN competition. That's the other amazing thing, that Huntsville, Alabama, where the Space Camp was for me, that it was out of state. So it was the second time in my life, the first time being visually impaired, where I traveled that far away from our lovely state, and that's the cost, that every time they travel, we have to pay for that.
And you never know who's in the room, but for $2,000, what would that do to change the life of the students on campus here, Francisco?
$2,000 can put a dent in the bucket for the library, The library was recently renovated. That comes at a hefty cost, not just because the Braille books are outdated and the whole code of Braille changed, so they're not accurate, but the module chairs and seating weren't conducive to our modern world, so that can put a dent towards that. It can increase our funding for this career center we want to build.
So whatever level that you feel like you are prepared and willing to be generous with tonight, I want to remind you that once again, you can meet Mike in the lobby outside here for checks or cards, or go online to the governormoreheadfoundation.org and click Donate Now. There's also something exciting that the school has put together that is a really unique and fun way to raise a little bit of money. Everybody here would have received a greeting card in the welcome packet. That greeting card is artwork designed here by these students, and there is 4 different versions of it out there, and you can purchase them extra, one for $4, or you can get 25 for $8, and they go towards a great cause. Why give your greeting card money to Target when there's beautiful artwork designed here by kids that has a story behind it? And for you online viewers, keep your eyes on the website. Online ordering of those greeting cards will be made available in the near future. There's a few other additional programs that I want to make you aware about that you can support the Governor Morehead Foundation through, because this year they will be participating in the North Carolina State Employees Combined Campaign. So if you are a state employee or have retired from the state, you can find it on the nonprofit list and give that way. And then Amazon also has a program called Amazon Smile, and you can link your purchases to the Governor Morehead Foundation that way. And these are side ways here that you can help support the school and the foundation, and once again, make a difference in people's lives. So I just want to say thank you for everybody that has given or plans to give tonight, and your money will make an impact on a generation of kids that don't know what life is like. But the people here at this school give them an experience that they never forget. Because 10, 20, 30 years from now, who knows who'll be standing on that stage, delivering that speech, making these videos. I mean, 170-year history. Let's not let it go away because big budgets get cut, and sometimes the small fish gets cut out. Raise awareness by telling your friends. Share the post on Facebook, and just let people know that you can make a difference. I want to thank you all for your time tonight, and thank you so much to our lovely vendors who donated those gifts.
Thank you, John. That was great. Well, folks, we've come to that part of the evening, that part of the program that we promised you a surprise. Well, we have, it's not going to be me tap dancing, don't worry. Although, believe me, that would be a surprise. No, we have an announcement of a very special guest, somebody who's been very, very important to Governor Morehead School through the years. And to make that announcement, I would like to bring back up to the stage Francisco Chavez. Francisco, are you out there still? Come on up.
Thank you, Tom. Perfect. Finally, a delivery that gets delivered on time. Thank you. Mrs. Barbara Bacon, if you would please come to the stage. Barbara Bacon is retiring this year. It's a very bittersweet announcement, but we're happy for her. The foundation has put together a very special gift for her that we know she will love, because we spied and asked around, and we made sure to gift her something truly unique that we will know will make her think of us and the foundation here. Thank you so much for your many years of service. You are an inspiration, and the school and students are very lucky to have had you, Mr. Barbarico.
Thank you so much.
And she would like to say a few words. Yes, of course.
It'll only be a few. Thank you so much for the opportunity to serve here at the Governor Morehead School. It has meant more to me than you would ever know. And I wanted to tell a story when it was Francisco's turn, but I thought it was pretty pertinent because probably 12 to 15 years ago, we had an aspiring student who wanted to attend the Olympic training camp in Denver, Colorado. And as a school director, there was no way I could find a category to charge that to. And so we went to the foundation, and I think some of you may remember this story. And he was able to go and attend a week training in some sport because he went through about 8 sports while he was here. But during that weekend, the foundation not only paid for him to go to Denver, Colorado to train with Olympians, but they also took all the phone calls when he got stuck at the airport. So the love and the dedication and the commitment given by the members of the foundation is like no other. So it is imperative that we support our children, not for programs of choice, but of programs we know are necessary for their successful community involvement and just having well-rounded, successful lives. So thank you very much for thinking of me, greatly appreciated, and this opportunity to say only a few words. I told you.
All right. Well, to end our celebration of the Governor Morehead School, we have a short video to show once again the beauty of the campus and the importance of the school to its students. And you are about to hear my voice doppelganger. The North Carolina State School for the Blind was established in 1845 under the leadership of Governor John Motley Morehead. The stone-walled entrance to the school welcomes all, including a teacher using her white cane as she walks to class. In one of the classrooms, a teacher engages her students while her guide dog naps. In the IT lab, students are able to work on talking computers and a refreshable braille display and adjust magnification zoom levels on the screen. 3.5. Sports teams practice and compete in the beautiful gym with the Chargers mascots centered on the floor. Outside cottage dorms A and B is a bright blue set of swings and a basketball hoop for students to enjoy. The student lounge has a sofa, chairs, and a table. A clock forms the O of the word focus on a wall. GMS residential dorm rooms have 2 twin beds and 2 desks, and the music room contains keyboards and bookshelves. Here's the rec room, where our students can enjoy air hockey, mini basketball hoops, and a pool table. In this airy, spacious teaching kitchen, students cook and learn life skills. The fragrance garden is laden with plants and trees and includes the fountain and gazebo, a sculpture bust of Helen Keller, and a sculpted bas-relief of Louis Braille. The graduation bell signals another successful year at the Governor Morehead School. This video was brought to you by the Governor Morehead Foundation to honor the Governor Morehead School. On behalf of the Governor Morehead Foundation, thank you for your participation in this celebration of the Governor Morehead School. The Foundation would like to express its thanks to Horizon Media Productions for their generous gift of several of the videos that you saw this evening, and to Charles Little of Target Stream Media for his support of our live streaming portion of the event. His team is in the back on this side. And finally, thanks to the Governor Morehead School for allowing this celebration to take place in this beautiful, newly renovated auditorium. Also, thank you to all the online folks who joined us on Zoom. Unfortunately, you won't be able to, unless you drive fast, join us in the lobby now, where those who are in person here will enjoy light refreshments, see the gifts that will be won by several lucky donors, and find out even more about this wonderful school and the Governor Morehead Foundation. Thanks again for coming. All right.